Dawn had barely finished arguing with the night when we set out again, boots sinking into frozen loam, breath puffing wide into the air like small protest flags. The mission was simple in words and complicated in everything else. Stop the wild boars that had ravaged this land under the cover of darkness. These beasts had been tearing through fields and robbing villages of sleep, rooting up future harvests and leaving behind a chaos that smelled of overturned soil and wasted labor. We called ourselves protectors, but on mornings like this, we felt more like repair crews patching holes in a fragile piece. Every step along that frosty hillside carried purpose. Every careful, sharpened glance through a scope, every rustle of clothing or crack of a twig had a single demand: track, contain, eliminate. The rules were strict. No needless risks. Respect the animals as adversaries, not trophies, and put the welfare of the community first. We checked our gear until fingers went numb. Loaded magazines with the kind of reverence people reserve for family heirlooms, and listened to the hill as if it might confess the boar's secrets. The first sign came as a ripple in the brush, a shadow sliding between trunks. John and I shared a look, that silent language forged over years of shared hunts and narrow misses. He steadied, I steadied. Breath out, finger on the trigger. The rifle barked. The world shrank around the report and then opened again to stillness. The boar hit the ground like a stone dropped from a cliff, and the hillside breathed a little easier. It was a clean shot, not for glory, but for necessity, and in that instant the land felt like a grateful thing dawed as morning warmed into a merciless noon. The slope grew loud. Herds began to appear where earlier there had been only cold wind. One cluster meandered across a slope, fat and unaware. I thumbed the safety off and moved into rhythm. John slid me the rifle and I took the shot that folded the beast. It tumbled down the hillside like a heavy bag, and the rest scattered, vanishing into the brush. You learn quickly that a perfect shot is less about the gun and more about the work that comes before it. Scouting, patience, and trust in the person beside you. Not every moment was so clean. On the far side of the ridge, James found the boar's cunning more than his skill. They hugged the terrain, stumps, dense thorn, shadowed hollows, turning the landscape into fences and shields. His first two shots found nothing but brush and bad angles. The third connected, and only then did the relentless chase resolve. We gathered, checked each other over, and made quick work of the task at hand. Field dressing, accounting, packing the haul in a way that honored both the animal's life and the villager's need. We moved down to the base, where the field opened and the work turned clinical. Here, visibility was a weapon. Wild boars are creatures of habit. Trails are not only pathways, but maps of instinct. One bolted from the tree line and charged across open grass, all muscle and hate. 3 rapid shots, a cascade of small, hot noises, and the animal folded. My pulse hammered like a drum roll. A cheap attempt at ceremony for a dangerous ballet rehearsed over seasons. Luck, experience, and sometimes plain stubbornness carried us that day. A desperate boar made a run across flatland, and I, locked in, put 3 rounds into the chase until its motion stopped and the earth accepted the stillness. The accomplishment sat in the chest like a stone, pride tempered with fatigue, awareness that every victory is also a responsibility. We had to preserve the balance the hard way, keeping populations in check so farmlands could heal, so seedlings could push through the cold and promise a season to come. Back at the forest edge, the dog shifted the tempo. What had been a patient, measured sweep turned to sudden fever. The pack picked up a scent and erupted into direction, barking like a winded alarm system. Instinct made me raise my rifle and sprint to a predicted lane of escape. The boar ran into the trap we'd set, not with traps in the mechanical sense, but with tactics and timing and the cold arithmetic of numbers. A second shot, and the day's tally grew another notch. The sun crept lower, and the long afternoon bruised into evening. For a little while, we let the quiet sit around us like a blanket. The landscape changed with the seasons and with the continents in which we hunted. Florida surprised some people. They imagined Texas or Alabama when they close their eyes and think of hog hunts. But the Everglades and the swampy reaches have their own brutal poetry. Palm fronds muttered overhead, buggy engines idled beneath us, and the humidity hung like a second skin. The buggy we used was bare-boned and honest. No doors, a welded frame, spiked wheels built for mud and mischief, and a gun mount that had saved more than one hunter's back. In that machine you felt the country differently. Faster, rawer, closer to the teeth of things. A pack of dogs flushed a boar out of the mangrove. We brought the buggy to a hard stop, took aim, and fired. The boar faltered and rolled into the mud, our first trophy of the swamp. We cheered like tired pilgrims and then went back to the grind, pushing deeper into stands of palm and vines that tangled like poor intentions.
If you'll enjoy this video, please like and subscribe my channel for more information.